the other talking point is Pulisic, and I want to get this correct, which is why I'm turning to my phone here. So,
and as you're looking, I feel for him because he scores the winner against West Ham
after sitting out on the bench and being fully fit for several games.
Yeah, for 75 minutes, him and Ziyech came on far too late in that West Ham game, and you think, okay, he will deserve a chance to start now. Where Everton, where you know that he can bring something to this team, and yet he's on the bench again until the 70th minute.
Yeah, and the guy keeping him out of the side is Timo Werner.
Exactly.
You know, and I don't care that you have the acceleration and whatever.
Pulisic has the acceleration as well.
It's still Timo Werner.
Yeah.
You know.
But I just think there's a point of how much do you have to do to be able to get a starting place in that team? If you're Ziyech, if you're Lukaku, if you're Pulisic, I don't know, anyone. Man. You know, Loftus-Cheek didn't get a look in for a while, and now he seems to be much more in the rotation. Good for him. But what about the others?
So, Pulisic's father puts out a tweet, and he says, "The sad thing is he loves this club, teammates, and London. Puts his heart and soul into being a pro. Onwards and upwards, my boy. Big 6 months ahead." So, unless there's something we don't know, he's not talking about Lukaku. He's talking about his own son when he says my boy, right?
You would think so.
I would assume so, right?
Yeah.
When I read this now in the cold light of day, I just think, all right, it's a dad who wants to send encouragement. However, you're sending encouragement in public, on Twitter, right? People know who you are on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then you delete it.
Why deleting it? There's nothing wrong in that message, is there? He's not criticizing the club.
That's the part.
Is he? He's just saying like his side is not playing. Like every dad, if your son, whatever level, age group, club, your son is on the bench, doesn't play much, you're going to feel sad for him.
But this is what brings me to Pulisic, right? Is, you know, okay, there's the standard knee-jerk thing. Oh, look, he's overhyped because he's American, blah, blah, blah. He's not that good. I'm not going to go there. I don't think he's a second coming, but I think he's got phenomenal attributes.
Yeah, I agree. He's got talent.
I wonder about when you go back to the impact he's had at Chelsea or hasn't had, and obviously there have been injuries in there and whatnot. I wonder if he's just not been given particularly good advice from his agent and the people who are supposed to look after him, and maybe including his dad. Because if you remember, his final season at Borussia Dortmund, he had those injuries. Yeah. He was coming back from injury. And by the way, at Borussia Dortmund, he was a good player, but it's not like he was Erling Haaland when he was there, right?
And when he signed for Chelsea on that January, it was quite surprising.
What surprised me about that was, if you remember, this was Sarri's last season. Only season,
yeah.
And he had ups and downs and sorry ball and all this nonsense, and eventually they would obviously finish top four and win the Europa League.
Yeah.
But I would have, and maybe it wasn't clear that he was staying, but still, like, you're coming off an injury, you signed for Chelsea, come to Chelsea, work on your injury there, and settle in, right? I mean, it seems like the most obvious thing to do. Instead, he decided to stay in Dortmund. He's like, no, I'm going to do my rehab here, which I thought was just a stupid decision. And again, I think his agent should have advised against it, because what it meant was at that stage, Dortmund, you know, they're not going to go and necessarily back Pulisic when they know he's not their player and he's leaving.
Yeah.
You know, they're all about showcasing guys and whatever. And in fact, he didn't play very much in those 6 months. So I think that already put him off on the wrong foot. And then he arrives at Chelsea in Lampard's first season, which turned out to be a good season as Lampard played all the kids and they brought people. He's really the only newcomer, obviously slowed by injuries and injuries again in the second season. But to me, what was really telling, and again, I chalk this up to some degree to agents. When Chelsea can spend again, what do? They bring in Werner. They bring in Hakim Ziyech. Yeah. They bring in Kai Havertz. They bring in a whole host of attacking players. And that is the point where you ask yourself, oh, and they have Hudson-Odoi, right? Wait, am I part of the plans here? Why are you playing in all these other guys for me to compete with? I'm not saying you should be scared of competition, right?
No,
but that's kind of what you pay an agent for, right? Is have the relationship with the club.
So you would have moved him on?
I don't know. I don't know that you would have moved him on, but I think you would have looked at it and you say, the writing's kind of on the wall here about how the club see me. They don't see me because at the time, and again, I'm going from memory here, I don't know if he was Chelsea's record signing before Havertz, but he would have been pretty close, right?
63 or something like that, yeah.
This is not how a club treats their record signing, right?
Yeah.
By bringing in other players who play similar positions.
Yeah.
And since then, he just never has had that stability. So when his dad says big 6 months ahead, obviously it's with a view towards the World Cup. Yeah. But you do wonder what happens next for Pulisic. He's still only 23 years old.
He's still young. And every time I watch him and he starts, for example, and there's the Real Madrid game last season, for example, I watched him and I find him amazing in that first touch, the first 5 yards, the acceleration. Yeah, I'm sure he still needs to improve. And often I see Tuchel sort of not shouting at him, but telling him that he has to work harder defensively, for example, and trail back and come and help and all of that. So maybe there's still a lot for him to learn, especially without the ball. When Chelsea have the ball and he doesn't have it, or when the opposition have it, and the way he has to defend or reposition, all of that. But I still think there's so much in there, potential, that I think it's crazy to use it so little in the last few weeks from Tuchel.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.